Tuesday, November 12th,
How do you say that?
4:30, Metro Council Rules, Elections, and Confirmations Committee to discuss the rules of procedure for the council. Just run through real quick the change that we discussed at the last meeting. See if there's anything. I've got one other addition, and we'll see if there's anything else. And then we might have it in final form to vote on next Tuesday. Looking through the track changes, copy for the first change that's marked RCB. Which is just a grammatical cleanup on Rule 21.5. Talking about the SP is equally restrictive to or more restrictive than the original zoning request. We also cleaned up in Rule 22 the language, the end withdrawal by a co-sponsor if the sponsor has informed the vice mayor in writing that the withdrawal is authorized. That mirrors the language that's used for sending letters for committee approval of legislation. Use the decision that we made on public hearings for future meetings to say such motion shall specify the subsequent meeting at which the public hearing is to take place. Rule 41, the comments from the clerk about deadlines for submission with what the committee settled on, which is that questionnaires have to be sent to the clerk by noon and council members by 4, 5 days preceding any vote for confirmation. On page 20, Rule 43, same thing, and cleaning up a typo. Rule 47, about written materials on the desk, we settled on that either these things need to be put on the desk, either these things need to be true, they're signed by the individual requesting distribution and shows their name, address, phone number, email address, and it's first been sent to the vice mayor, clerk, or council staff with a request for distribution before 4:30 on the day of the meeting at which it's supposed to be distributed, or it's got the signature of a council member, or it's the stuff in our mailbox. Rule 48 reflects the committee desire that folks not be in the chamber beginning from the start of the day's first committee meeting or meeting of the council and ending at the conclusion of the day's final committee meeting or meeting of the council.
Was there something that led to that change?
I think there was concern about lobbyists being on the floor while there were committee meetings going on. The fact that the rules right now say that it goes to an hour prior to the council meeting, but budget or planning is happening on the floor prior to that. So while people are voting on zoning bills, you can have people in there roaming around lobbying on zoning bills or that sort of thing.
That makes sense.
Something that is new is that a council member brought up the concern that the day could come, I don't know if anybody is planning on being there anytime soon, that a nursing mother, among the people allowed on the floor are minor children are not allowed. And I know I've had committee meetings where I've had my kids back there just sitting in the corner of the room. There's concern that a nursing mother could end up missing an important vote to take care of her baby, not being able to just feed the child at the desk, and ask that we consider allowing minor children of council members in the chamber as well. Does anybody have any thoughts or concerns?
So beyond the nursing mothers, other children.
Well, we could limit it.
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
What was that?
I was trying to think of, there's one council member that used to bring their children like to every meeting.
Okay.
And, you know, they really got engaged.
That's reasonable. And gosh,
It makes me think of bringing kids to the polling places. You know, that's encouraged.
Yeah.
You know, you're not supposed to let them push the buttons, but you're
Yeah.
encouraged to bring them to a vote.
civic education.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think as long as they're behaved,
Yeah.
then that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. I don't think there would be any objection to that. Although it makes interesting the question of having somebody come up and bang the gavel right now, which I guess technically isn't.
You can say it, or at the
Well,
discretion.
yeah, because I wanted,
Yeah, or the discretion of vice mayor.
I've actually wanted to bring that up to have my son do that. He's 8, and I think it'd be great to have him do that. And bring, yeah. Because he's been up here with me a time or two, not for meetings, but other times, and like he loves to be on the floor and sit in my chair and all that kind of thing, you know.
To be able to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good then. Added under Rule 50, electronic nicotine delivery systems
Oh, man.
to cover vape pens. Went with the committee's desire of 27 affirmative votes to amend the rules once they're adopted. And then the other new thing is that we had the situation last year where we had a council meeting, not just a council meeting, but a public hearing night that was taking place during the busiest part of the voting day, where there were residents who likely had to choose between voting and voicing their opinions on or participating in another way in the council meeting. So this rule would prohibit, would say that we'll reschedule meetings that are to take place on a primary or general election day, which in practice would mean that if one council district has a special election, that's fine. They theoretically should not have a zoning bill that night anyway. But the primary and general would cover citywide elections that are taking place. And
Mr. Chairman, I did get the vice mayor to go ahead and move just because we had to do some notice issues, go ahead and move the March 3rd meeting.
great.
So,
Okay.
so that'll be on Thursday instead of Tuesday. That's the presidential primary election.
Great. Thank you. Awesome. Does anybody have anything they would like to add or subtract from the rules?
There's a minor typo in the adjournment sine die. It
Gosh.
says, that have no received the final action. It should just say not.
I
don't know who
suppose if
typed
that's
that
your
out.
preference.
I don't know who typed that, but it's a mistake.
Got it. Okay. Well, then we will get this all into a format that it can be copied and distributed to council on Tuesday and be on members' desks. And just prior to that meeting, the Rules Committee can vote up or down to send the package to the council floor for consideration. And then the council would consider it at the first meeting in December. And it would immediately take effect thereafter if it's adopted. And if folks have any amendments to it, they can present them on the floor for consideration as well. Anybody have anything else? Great. All right. Thank you. Adjourned.
Yay.
Yes. Wait.